Given that the data is increasing day by day and only 0.5% of the data being analyzed, there's a lot of scope for change. While you are doing your data migration, you need to come up with a proper data strategy, and here is a tool which will help you make sure that your data migration happens properly and all of the data is captured, can also provide you savings in terms of time, effort and money. Hey, hi Sam, how are you?
How you doing? Good, I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing good, man. What I wanted to talk to you is about the data, right? So today, data is increasing day by day. There are various ways to capture the data. The amount of data collected in the last 2 years is much more than the history of mankind, right?
It's phenomenal,
so,
yeah.
What are the new ways or new forms of data collection?
There's a huge amount of data collected in the World Wide Web, and that data can be both structured and unstructured. You can take data from Twitter, and you want to see if a product release is going on, then they want to see how it's trending on Twitter, right? So you can go to Twitter and you can look and collect all the unstructured data so you can make some sense of how are we trending on Twitter. And then you've got structured data in terms of transactions. So for example, transactions in the banking and financial industry. You actually have huge amounts of gigabytes and petabytes of data, both structured and unstructured, from so many different sources. And I think it's just exponentially just exploding all over the place.
Today we are analyzing less than 0.5% of the data available. And as your data sources increase, that will go down further.
That is scary. And I think actually trying to make decisions based on how analytics and if the amount of data being analyzed is actually declining, then are we sure business is making the right decisions?
Exactly. What are some of the challenges that you see when you are analyzing only like 0.5% of the data that you have?
Right.
What are some of the challenges?
Number one, absolutely the volume of data. The volumes are just increasing like leaps and bounds. That's one thing. The second piece is going to be how heterogeneous the data is. You've got big data, you've got your typical relational databases, then you've got your flat files, and you've got so many different types of heterogeneous data. Then you've got a situation where you've got all this unstructured data, you've got data from IoT, from all these embedded devices that are coming in. So it's the heterogeneity of data, it's the volume of data, and you don't really have the skill sets really to kind of people to come in and start testing it. You can't have your regular testing. I've been in testing for over 25 years, and the kind of skill sets that testers have is not sufficient or not enough to be able to handle all of the different types of data that are there. So you need SQL skills, you've got NoSQL database, so you need to have some of those big data skills as well. You've got Hadoop, you've got these flat files, so the skill sets are not there, and they're not easily available in the marketplace as well. So that's another major issue that I see.
Interesting that you bring up that point, right? I mean, one is the skill set, but at the same time, the companies are going through a lot of transformation. I mean, we all know a lot of these large corporates have invested in the legacy systems, so they have a lot of data sitting there. Now they want to use that data to analyze that data, come out with results and what they can do with data. A lot of people are moving to the new platforms. I mean, you can see from AWS, I mean, a lot of people are adopting cloud, new technologies. The SaaS platforms are coming, platform as a service is coming.
Right.
So with all of this, it's impacting the way they capture data and what do they do with the existing data. So now they have to migrate all that data into the new platform. So, I came to know that you have a tool, DataVision Plus, which helps in this data migration. So can you please brief about your DataVision tool itself?
Absolutely. We've already seen in AWS, we've seen people come by and give us some use cases. We've got people that have their entire platform on cloud, and they want to migrate their clients onto their platform. So the first question is, when a client is migrated to the platform, how do we ensure that our data is migrated successfully? So we know you're going to do the data migration, but how can you validate for us that the data has been migrated 100%, that there's no data loss, that there's no data corruption that's happened, that if I want to do a one-for-one lift and shift migration, that if I've got 10 million rows, all the 10 million rows have been migrated successfully without any loss of information. How do you validate that? So we looked at the entire kind of data lineage and said from the source to a data warehouse, from data warehouse potentially to a data mart, and from data mart to your basic visualized reporting and visualizations. That entire data lineage, we've automated the testing of that using DataVision Plus. You've got use case where you have migrated a lot of data from a source to a target. And our tool can go in and it can validate right from the schemas that the schemas are identical.
Okay.
You know, if you were to try to do that manually, even after a few days, you wouldn't be able to tell if your constraints are there, if your primary key, secondary key constraints have been migrated properly, or if you're missing some rows, or if your data has been truncated in some way. You could spend days and still not be able to tell that. But with DataVision Plus, we will start by looking at your schema level. Yeah.
So basically, when somebody is going through a data migration strategy or
Right.
a plan, all the points that you mentioned are the challenges that they are going to face en route doing that migration. So now can you help me understand how DataVision Plus is beneficial in using and makes it easy for these migrations?
It has to be a systematic approach. And I've been in testing for over 25 years. You can do functional testing. I think functional testing is tough, but data testing is so granular, it's much, much tougher than functional testing. You've got to test essentially every piece of data. Right now, what people are doing are sampling, and I think the first thing that DataVision Plus is going to do is look at your schema level and do a schema level reconciliation. Make sure that there are no differences in the schema, and if there are, those are expected differences, and then based on that, we will proceed to the next stage. And this is all done automatically.
Wow.
And the next stage would be that once the schema compare and the reconciliation has happened, then the next stage is going to be your row by row, field by field data comparison. Okay?
Right.
And our experience is we've done up to 10 million rows of comparison in about an hour and 20 minutes.
Wow, that's
Right.
phenomenal.
Yeah.
Given that the data is increasing day by day and only 0.5% of the data being analyzed, there's a lot of scope for change. While you're doing your data migration, you need to come up with a proper data strategy, and here is a tool which will help you make sure that your data migration happens properly and all of the data is captured, can also provide you savings in terms of time, effort and money. If you have any questions, you want to understand more about the tool, please stop by the Triumph's booth at 1940 and you can meet with Sam and have your questions answered. Thanks guys.
Thank you, Santosh. And look forward to seeing everybody here, booth 1940, and talk about DataVision Plus.
Thanks Sam.
Thank you.